Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all keeping well, and welcome back to part 2 of the critique session. And I can't thank you enough. I've had loads of images sent in, so I think there's going to be a part 3 as well, if you can put up with it. I'm going to try and make this a bit shorter than the last one. Half an hour it went on for, sorry about that, but I get a bit carried away with the old editing. But again, like I said before, it's only my view on how I would edit things. You guys might do it differently, and do comment below and let me know if you think, oh, I wouldn't do it that way, I'd do it this way. But anyway, without further ado, let's get on and go through this collection of images. Right, first off we've got Thomas Pliner, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, Thomas, but anyway, these are your images. And straight out the bag, the action that you've caught here is absolutely spot on. The ball's just going past the keeper's hand. You couldn't have timed it any better. However, the reason that I've picked up on this image, if I just bring the marker down, you can see here, I think you've probably shot it at too wide an angle, because if you look at the line there, the horizon's not far off, but it's a little bit here, look, but it's dead on there, but yet the floodlight is leaning over. Now that tells me, and also the key thing that gives it away is the ball is oval. So I'm thinking, if I go on camera raw, let's have a look. Yeah, 17 mil, probably a little wide because the ball's oval. 0.02 of a second at f4. I usually shoot my goal cams at about f5.6, something like that, just for the depth of field, and usually focus on the grass. But he's nice and sharp anyway, the keeper is, and the ball's nice and sharp. So you've obviously manually focused through here. But the key thing with this is, for me, there's too much net involved. I'll pop an image up now at one of my goal cams. I'm guessing that the net at this particular game was just angled from the floor straight to the crossbar, and so you're going to get a lot of net in it. Obviously we're quite lucky in Premier League and Championship and most league games, the nets go straight up so that you can literally focus and compose through one main, you know, about 6 or 7 squares. With this image, I just feel that there's a bit too much net involved, but you can't help that. The nets are as they are, so perhaps just to bear in mind next time, if you go to a game, I don't know if you were testing a remote camera at this game, but say you've caught the action perfect. Look, the young lad there's looking at it going in thinking, oh no, a bit of dejection. But just a little bit too net involved, so perhaps next time, if you do go to a game and the net is at an angle going from the ground straight to the crossbar, perhaps give it a miss. But yeah, anyway, that's that one. I just thought I'd pick up on that, and I would probably set I used to use a 16 to 35, the same lens as what you're using here, but I'd probably go to 20 mil and just try and pick out a certain section. I mean, remote cameras are hit and miss anyway, so I would only compose half the goal mouth up from one of the posts to sort of midway in the goal mouth, and just hope and pray that you capture some action. But yeah, so a little bit wide here probably at 17 mil, hence why your horizon's corrected, but you've still got the floodlight leaning over. But anyway, great bit of action nonetheless. Right, let's go off that. I think Thomas sent in quite a few. Let's just quickly zoom through what else we've got. I'm just looking at this one. I don't think there's much wrong with this one really. Probably just, I've picked this one out probably because I'm thinking your depth of field. Let's see what you're at. f6.3. Oh, it's 100/500, so probably not a 2.8. So I'm just thinking that depth of field, the players aren't standing out as much because you're not at 2.8, but looking at the 100 to 500, it would probably be f5.6 upwards. So this is shot at f6.3, 1250 for the second, that's good settings. You know, ISO 1000, that's all right. But yeah, because it's at 6.3, the players aren't standing out to me as they would be if you was at 2.8, but that's not really your fault there with the lens that you're using. But again, these 2.8 lenses are really expensive, and we have to use what we have to use. But and probably just cropped a little bit tight, perhaps. I don't know. I might have left a little bit more room along here, just for the play to go into, like I said in my last video. But great action shot, and you've got the ball nice and still and nice and sharp. So yeah, not a lot wrong with that one really, Thomas. But anyway, let's get rid of that one. Oh, this one, I think again, you're probably on the 100, 500. Yeah, at 6.3, 12/50ths, good set. And try and get your speed up to 1600th if you can for sport, just to because the ball is just a little, in his foot's just a little bit soft, look. Depending on where your focusing point was, I always focus on single point. But again, the only thing with this would be, I think like I said in the last video, players' backs. I tend to try and, unless there's a story to this, I'd probably leave this one out because it's got a player's back in it, and it looks like it's the lad that's got his back to us is on the ball. So I know you can see his number and you've got the other player running towards me, but just bear in mind about players' backs. It's can be quite frowned upon. But anyway, let's get rid of that one. And that's it. So thanks, Thomas, for sending them in. Right, who we got next? Rob Lawrence. Has Rob... I'm just trying to think. Has Rob... Let's have a look. Let's go off that. No. I thought Rob had sent in an edited version and a non-edited version, but perhaps not. I think the only thing that I picked up on these, Rob, thanks for sending them in, by the way, are you stood up? I'm thinking you might be stood up here. A bit like in the last video, always try and get a nice low angle with rugby and football and that, so that you make your subject bigger. And then, if you can imagine, if you'd have been sat down at this one, you'd have got her at just below your eye level, and it would have been a really striking try shot. Great action shot still, brilliant action shot. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, Rob, but I think you probably stood up on here. Let's have a look at the other one as well. Let's go back to Rob's. Yeah, I think you might be sat down at this one. I'm not sure. Let's just have a look. It looks like you could be sat down on this one. I think this was your crop. I think, if I'm right in thinking. Now I would have perhaps got rid of this young man's. I'd have perhaps cropped into there, got rid of a bit of the foreground, and probably cropped something like that to really emphasise the kicker. You know, she's obviously, if you was to crop it like that, you've still got this young man holding the ball in shot. She's obviously just about to get ready to kick. She's going to walk backwards. But by cropping all this space out, you're emphasising your main subject, which is the kicker. You've still got the lad holding the ball in, but I just cropped about there probably. Bring that down a bit and really emphasise your kicker. Obviously, she's got some space to move into, and it helps with him being there. But to me, I think that just emphasises the kicker a bit more. Yet you've still got your second subject in of the lad holding the ball. But yeah, I think that's what I would do with that one, Rob. So let's just get rid of that one. I think Rob sent a few more in. Yeah, this was another great action shot. Again, cropping, leave this space here. I think this is your edit. I would probably lose that girl, I don't know. And then just take a bit. Cool, that pitch needs a good cut, doesn't it? But take that down a bit. Could probably take a little bit of this space away. Just still leave some space for her to run into. But perhaps, I don't know if we need her foot even in it, but just take it to somewhere like that. Again, you're just emphasising the action in a slightly bigger way. But apart from that, great action shot. Looks like she's just about to get a good tackle anyway. But yeah, so that's all I would do with that. Let's just have a look at your settings just out of interest. 5.6. Whoa. Look at the old ISO there. You're on a 100, 400. It's obviously a 5.6 upwards. And you're only at 200th there, which is quite interesting. But I think looking in on it, because you're at ISO 12,800, yeah, it's actually quite grainy. So just keep an eye on them ISOs, I would, Rob. You don't really want to be going above 6,000 if you can help it. But again, you're on the 100, 400, and it must have been a dark and dank day because it's raining. 5.6, and you've had to bring that shutter speed right down. You've actually captured it really well at 200th, so you must have been panning really well. But yeah, just keep an eye on that ISO. Say anything more than that and we're just losing a bit of quality, look. But again, that would have been fine for the papers, so you'd have got away with that, no problem. But yeah, just that crop I think again, Rob. So let's get rid of that one. Which was the other one that Rob sent in? Ah, yeah. Just this quickly on this one. Are you stood up again? I'm thinking you might be stood up again. Can you imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, but can you imagine if you'd have been really low to the ground, she would have literally been scoring that try or whatever she was doing on top of you. And she'd have been coming down at you, and that would have been a fantastic angle. But yeah, that's the only thing, just sitting down really. Looks like the horizon just needs altering a bit. You can see, I think we can see that these trees are all leaning and looking at, I would use that post, the rugby post, as my horizon marker. So we'd perhaps just need to bring it round to about there, something like that, I reckon. Something like that. So that's all, just keep an eye on your horizons. Number one rule, horizons, always check your horizons first. Apart from that, great action shot. Let's just check out the settings again. I bet you're on your 100, 400 again, yeah. F5. That's loads better, look, ISO 500, loads better. Obviously a brighter day, and you're at 2,000th of the second shutter speed, so brilliant. You've captured, you've absolutely, that is a freeze frame action shot. It's a great shot, look at her face, and the ball's nice and sharp, she's all nice and sharp. Say, just try and get a nice low angle if you can. But I think that's it for Rob's. Thanks Rob for sending them in. Right, who have we got next? Let's have a look. Right, let's go for... yes, I think it's Cease van Vliet, is it? Fleet? sorry Cease, but yeah, I think you sent me this in just to see if you could get any more sharpness. Well, I think this is on a 70 to 200. Let's have a look. It's on a 300mm. Actually, yeah, 300mm 2.8. Which really you will struggle at stuff in the middle of the park, action-wise, on a 300. Again, we can't all afford 400s and 500s, but a 400 would just bring that in a bit. I know this is just an example that you sent me. ISO 250, brilliant. 12/50th of a second at 2.8. Try and knock it up to 1600th if you can, especially as you're on 2.8. Do think about a 1.4 converter as well on a 300, which would get you to 560 or something like that, 560 mil. Yeah, you was worried about your sharpness. Well, I think that's pretty good for a 300 2.8 at that distance. If we zoom it in a bit, it's pin sharp. I mean, you can't get much sharper than that. But I think because you were worried about it being soft, it might be a bit soft when you bring it in because of your focal length. If you was on a 400, then that would be perhaps a little bit sharper. But for a 300 2.8, I'd be really happy with that. So there's not a lot more you can do. I think you said in your message that you're on AI servo and you're on your evaluative metering. So yeah, as goes quality-wise, for a 300 2.8, there's not a lot you can't really get more than that really. You could possibly just up your shutter speed a bit just to freeze that action a bit quicker. But apart from that, Cease, I wouldn't worry too much because that's quite good quality, and you've got a lovely drop off. This is lovely and soft, and the players are really standing out. So yeah, don't worry about that too much. But thanks for that, Cease. Let's just get rid of that one. Right, who have we got next? RM Chow. I think he just wanted some brief tuition on his action shots. Let's just have a look at the others. Yeah, that's really nice. I think these are actually your edited images. I would just crop that right in. I'd be really brave and crop that right in. Possibly lose his hand. I don't think you really need his hand, and come above, just below that hand perhaps. You could even go to there, so to speak, something like that. Don't be afraid to crop in. You can always crop out again. I'd even bring him, because his eyes, try and get his eyes central if you can. That's quite key. Get his eyes on the thirds. You can work with your thirds on this one. So ball and eyes are dead level. I'd go with something like that. Nice and tight. Just his face is a little bit soft. I bet you're at 2.8. Let's have a look at this. Have a look at the settings. Oh no, you're at F5. F5. So that's obviously quite a big crop anyway that you've done there, RM. But ISO's just on the limit. Probably, you could probably afford to bring that down. You're at 4,000th of a second, which is really fast. So you could bring that down to 2,000th, which would then take your ISO down a bit. I'm not sure if you're on a 400 2.8 or whether you've just gone to f5 and it's a 400 f5.6 or something like that, but or whether you're trying to save your depth of field a bit. But his face is just a little bit soft now we go into it, but perhaps that's why you left that crop as you did. Let's just go out of that. Perhaps that's why you left it like that, because he looks a bit sharper at that. And again, you can go into camera raw, and you can always, if you was to leave the frame like that, you can always use the old clarity tool and the texture tool. Just make sure that you don't get too grainy with that texture tool. But yeah, that's probably why you've left that crop like that. But if his face was a bit sharper, I'd have cropped it in. But let's go off that one. And again, same sort of scenario with this one, with your crop. Don't be afraid. Leave plenty of room for him to run into. And just bring that right down. That's just wasted space, that really. You can take that up a bit, look. And then horizons again. If you look, these pillars are just a bit off these posts, so just take the horizons around a bit. It's a massive gripe of mine, horizons. It's such a simple thing to get right. You got that board there, look, as well. So just alter your horizons. Never forget about your horizons. Possibly take a bit of shadow out of it. So let's go down to shadows. Where's my shadow slider? Just bring that up a bit, and a bit of contrast perhaps. And then you could always give it a bit of clarity. Again, just to bring the players out a bit. Look, that clarity's bringing it out a bit. But yeah, that would be all I would do on that one. So that's, again, nice shot. Look, you're at 2,500, so you've come down on that shutter speed a bit. But and it's brought your ISO down, look, so that's good. But 5.6, so yeah, so that one's all right. I'm trying to fly through these guys as best I can. Right, where's he gone? Let's have a look. Let's go back to that one. And again, same sort of scenario. Again, I think you've probably cropped it like that. Let's have a look at your settings. Yeah, 2,500 again at 640. You see, you could probably bring that down to 2,000th, if not 1650 or whatever, and that would bring your ISO down even more. But you've frozen the action there again. Nice, ball's nice and sharp. So it's just your cropping a bit, really. So you could just crop that in a bit. Lose all that wasted space. They're running at you, so you can probably just keep it a bit tighter, something like that. Again, your horizons are about right, I think, looking at these posts or these net markings, they're about right, I think, your horizons. Just, you can crop nice and tight with this one, make it a square crop. And again, that's about right at that, so that's not too bad. So thanks for sending them in. Oh, we've got one more. Oh yeah, we just looked at that one, haven't we? So that's all right. Ah, right, Luke Plumpton. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at that one. That one, he's got some stories to these, I think, but let's just go to Luke's last one. I think, again, Luke, I think you stood up here. So again, great celebration. I think had you been sat down, you might have lost the try scorer's face, but you'd have still got the try, and he would have been looking down at you, and so would he a bit. So again, just thinking angles, try and sit down if we can. But apart from that, spot on that action shot. Let's just crop that one and go away from that one. Not a lot wrong with that one really, Luke, to be fair. Let's have a look at your settings. Just have a quick gander. No settings on that one. We can't see on that one, unfortunately, in camera raw, so we'll go off that. But yeah, that's pretty much perfect, really. You've got the players lifting, his teammates lifting them up. This hand's a bit annoying, but I think that is that the referee? I'm not sure if I think that's the referee. But that hand's a little bit annoying if I had to really be picky. But this is, I mean, we could even just, I don't know, if you really wanted to highlight the players, I think the horizon just needs to be just tweaked a little bit. You could leave it like that. We know he's in a try, we know they're in a line out still. So you could be quite brave and crop it right in. It's good enough quality, really good quality. Look at that, that's lovely and sharp. lovely and sharp that. So quality wise, that you can bring it right in and really don't be afraid to crop. But it's still good to leave the players in as well. So yeah, not a lot wrong with that one, Luke, really. And this one, I think you've got a story to this one. I think this one's your mate, isn't he? Have they just won or just lost? I can't remember. But again, probably I'd probably lose these lower arms and just go, again, I would really emphasise your subject. So whether or not I would leave it like that, I think probably leave him in a bit, bring it in this way a bit. You can see there's some arms, keep him central, keep his eyes central. I think something like that. You know he's still in a bit of a scrum, a bit of a huddle. And that takes my eye straight to him a bit quicker. I might even crop in a bit more. Let's have a look. Let's go something like that. You know he's in a huddle. Bring it in a bit. Don't be afraid. You can always come out again. But yeah, it just emphasises your subject then a bit more than a lot of space like that. But yeah, so they're all right, Luke, then. Nothing wrong with them. They're lovely. They're absolutely pin sharp. Look at that. I mean, I'm not sure what camera you're shooting on, but you could literally crop in like that, look. Pin sharp. Great quality, them. Thanks for them, Luke. Right, on to Joe Young. Right, I think, Joe, I'm fairly sure you stood up here. Again, same sort of thing. And also horizons. See how, if we bring the marker down again, see how off the horizon is. I mean, you can probably see it on the bar a little bit, but you can definitely see it on the ad boards. Look at that. So get your horizons. First thing you need to do, guys, is get in the habit of horizons. First thing, horizons. It's still a little bit off look, so let's just take it round a bit more. Let's have a look at that. See, it can still go a little bit more, I think. Let's look at that. Let's just get rid of that. Go on to that and just drag that up now. Let's see now. That's about there now, isn't it? What we'll have to do though is just watch the crop. See, it's left this, so we're going to have to crop it a bit more. Just bring that in a bit. And probably just bring that in a bit. But anyway, that's the horizon sorted. So that's number one rule. Horizons, number one rule. But had you been sat down, you'd have got a better angle again. Let's just have a look at the quality. Right, I think it was actually you, Joe, that's shooting on the 70 to 200, is it? No, 70 to 300. And this is at 70 mil. So really, you could do with bringing that focal length right in, get to nearly... Don't be afraid when the players are running towards you to be at maximum zoom. Then you can just work your way out a bit. Or, as a player's running towards you, if you start losing the head and the feet, spin it round to portrait and fill your frame. That's what you've really got to think about. Instances like this is filling the frame the best you can. Don't be afraid to chop heads and feet off. Have another go at it next time the player runs towards you. But as they're running towards you, go into portrait. Nothing wrong with that. I used to do it all the time on my 400. Spin it round into portrait, fill the frame, job's a good one. So yeah, this is at 70 mil on a 70 to 200. Settings wise, you're okay. 1250th at 400, ISO 400, that's fine. So let's just go off that again. So obviously, really, you could do with being probably something like that, I would think. But obviously now that you're at 17, we are going to really pull this in and crop it in. Something like that. We're going to lose quality. Because, yeah, it's just gone a bit soft now, look. But you get the idea, so don't be afraid to go at full focal length and switch it into portrait if you need to. Again, same with this one. A lot of wasted space and horizons again, look. Keep going on about these horizons. Get your horizons set, that's the first thing you want to do. And then we could really crop right in on this one. I'm not sure why it was in portrait, Joe, but we can make this a nice square crop. Let's go in and let's have a look at the quality. Yeah, quality's good. Quality's alright. I mean, you could go into camera raw, take the highlights down a bit. Let's have a look. Let's take the highlights down a little bit. Give it a bit of contrast. And then a bit of clarity will really make these girls stand out. Look at that, they're really standing out now. Again, we're at f5.6, so had you been again, on a 2.8, you'd have really lost all the fans at the back and really emphasise the girls. But depending on what lens we've got, we'll give it a little bit of dehaze as well. Look, they're really sticking out now. Bit of texture perhaps, and that's about all we need on that. But again, don't be afraid to zoom right in. But yeah, so that's that one, Joe. We'll get rid of that one. Same again on this one, Joe, horizon. So let's alter that horizon straight away. And I'm working off the crossbar here. All the ad board signs as well. Look, the ad boards, you go with that as well. Let's go with the crossbar. So that's the first thing. I really like this fan here. I don't know what crop it would be. This must be full time, I'm guessing. I'm not sure, Joe. Could be full time, but I'd be tempted to leave that fan in, you know. Well, there's two fans there, look, cheering, but he really does stick out because there's some good light on him. I'm not sure. Quite a difficult one to crop, this. Shame we've not got another player here. But are you at 300 on this one? Yeah, you're at 300mm, so you zoomed all the way in. It's actually quite good quality. Little bit grainy, ISO 200. And again, times like that, when your action is slowed down, I think this is probably full time or she's celebrating a goal, just knock your shutter speed down to like 800th. If you haven't got to capture that action, knock your shutter speed down and then it'll bring your ISOs down. But again, yeah, so that's how I would probably leave that one. I quite like that fan there like that. But there's obviously a good story to that one. You'll have to let us know in the comments. But thanks for them, Joe. Right, who are we on to now? Oh yeah, Jeremy. Yeah, well, I've covered pan blur in a bit. I think this is a bit too blurred, if I'm honest. We can just see this player's face, but I think it's probably this player that's on the ball. Let's have a look at the settings. Are they going to come up? No, they're not coming up on it. So I'm not sure. I wonder if we can go in file info. Let's have a look in file info. Might be able to get it up on that. Let's go into file info. See if it'll tell us on that. Basic. No, there's nothing on it. Oh dear. No, origin, camera data. No, nothing on it. So I'm not sure what settings you're at, but great idea, great attempt. Pan blurring is so difficult at the best of times. My sort of settings would be f11. I'd always knock the aperture right up. F11, F12, about 1/25th, 2/50th, something like that. And there's just pan as best you can, but probably great idea, but just a little bit too blurry, this one, I think. And just going on editing wise, if I was to edit it, I'd probably take the exposure down a little bit, I think, and highlights. It's quite highlighty. Take that down a bit, perhaps a bit of contrast, bit of clarity, just to make this. See, that player is standing out a bit now. It's bringing him into it a bit, but just a little bit too blurred, I think. But really good attempt. Keep having a go. Again, this one, horizon looks great. Let's just bring the marker down on that back there. Yeah, horizons aren't far off, to be fair, let you off. But great action. I might, if quality's good enough, yeah, it is good enough, I'd probably crop right in on that, so I'd probably leave that about there. Do we really need the legs in? I'm not sure. Let's just have a look at a crop, something like, you could even go right, and let's leave them girls in because looks like they've collided a bit. Probably leave the ball there. I mean, you could go something like that. Because this is where the action is, all these faces, so that's where the action is. So yeah, I'd probably go for a crop like that, something like that. And again, let's just have a look at the highlights. Bring the highlights down a bit. Bring them highlights down. It is quite grainy. Bring the contrast up a bit. Take the exposure down a bit, perhaps. Something like that. There's quite a lot of highlights again. Take the blacks down a bit. But yeah, I'd go for a crop, something like that. But anyway, that's that one, Jeremy. Ah, this one. Now, talking about sitting low, you are really low here. And I mean, the only thing that I would say with this one is, obviously I'd go for a crop. The ball's going to be coming this way. I'd leave the corner flag in because it is a corner and it's letting the viewer know that it's a corner. And he's taking a corner. But you are ultra low on this one. Love the angle on this, really low. Let's just have a look at that. Now, quality. Right, sorry about that, guys. Flaming battery went flat. Caught me out, that did. So we're on to the last set now. I'm trying to go as quick as I can, but I reckon it's going to be half an hour again. We've got Mikey Branowski here, sent in raws and then edited. So this is obviously his raws. Nice place as well, Eastleigh. It's where I started. If you've watched my How I Got Started video, started it all at Eastleigh. But yeah, so this is Mikey's raw, and then obviously the cropped image. Brought the colours out, he's brought the shadows out a bit, captured it perfectly. Not sure, the only thing would be the crop really. I don't know if I'd crop into there. I don't know if I'd want to lose this player, whether or not he was an assist or something. And then again, bring that in a bit and just highlight your subject a bit more. Not sure, a bit of a tricky one that. Still works all right, but for all I know, I'm not sure, Mikey. You'll have to let us know. This player here, he might have took the shot. He might have dinked it in, I'm not sure. But yeah, it's good that we've got the fans all interested here as well, all looking at the ball. Obviously, he's pulled off a good save by the looks of it. But yeah, great edit on that one. And then, what else we've got? This one, again, so that's your edited. You've obviously just pulled it in a bit, sharpened it up a bit, given it some colour. Pretty perfect crop, really. You've pulled it in. There's no play going either way out the frame, so you can give it a nice square crop. Yeah, nice and sharp that. Let's just look at your settings just before we finish off. 6.3, so 200 to 600. On the limit there on the old ISOs, look, but quality's great. There's nothing wrong with that, that's fine. Balls, just about sharp. Player's nice and sharp. You'd get away with that fine. 6.3. I think because you're on a 200 to 600, that's probably one of the lowest limits, and you're at 485mm anyway. 12/50th, perhaps could go up a bit more if you can, but you're limited because it looks like it's quite a dark day, so that's probably about the right settings. Yeah, great crop that. So yeah, that's fine. From that, you don't really need this player in. You can get rid of him. Your actions here, you've cropped in on the action. Yeah, pretty perfect that really. Horizons look great. Bit misleading with this ad board being a bit bent, but if you look at that as your horizon, pretty spot on there. Look, yeah, that's spot on. So you've altered your horizons and job's a good one. Yeah, so that's that. The battery just caught me out there, guys. But incidentally, critiques wise and editing wise, I am currently running online sessions. If you'd like to book an online session, we talk for about an hour or whatever, send in your images and we can go more in depth into methods and settings and what lenses you need for such scenarios and whatever. Not just sport, landscapes or anything. Yeah, woodland photography. I'm hopefully going to get out in the next few days and try and get some autumn colour, get back in the woods again. It's nice to mix it up a bit, sport and landscapes and whatever. So yeah, if you want some more in-depth tuition, drop me a line and I'll get you booked in for a session. We'll have an hour or two online and going through your images and go through some of my images and what I would do and that. And yeah, feel free to get in touch. Yeah, I'm running online sessions all the time throughout the week and that. So yeah, get in touch. Do get in touch. But anyway, I hope that's helped a bit. I've tried to speed it up, but I reckon it's still going to be about half an hour. But send your images in if you need to. I'll keep doing this once a month or whatever. And I've got a part 3 to do on this anyway, so there's loads more images to go through yet. So thanks ever so much for supporting the channel, guys. Really do appreciate it. Without you guys, this channel is nothing. So thanks for all your likes and your subscribes and that. And yeah, brilliant. Part 3 on the way again soon. Meanwhile, it's time for a coffee. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. I look forward to your comments below and catch up soon. Job's a good one.